This question it's a little close to home, and it's one that I wonder if I'll regret doing my normal thing and not writing anything down for notes before going at it, but let's see what we can do. Now, this is pretty long, so brevity's sake, I'm just gonna kind of sum this up. Um, this person is a 30-year-old male. He's been cheating on his girlfriend of 5 years for the past few weeks. Sounds like they've had a difficult relationship. They seem to have grown apart and are, having different ideals now, is what I'm getting from reading between the lines. He's also switched industries and discovered over the last 4 months that he won't be a proficient programmer. I'm assuming he's a computer programmer. He spends too much time debugging and second guessing himself. Um, he's known the programming language for 6 months. The person he was cheating on his girlfriend with, he fell in love with, but was rejected by. Um, More and more by the day, he realizes he's not fit for his job. He's considering turning in his resignation. He's not exactly estranged from his family, but there's just barely a relationship there. Um, they gossip about him. He's embarrassed, ashamed, depressed as life has gone this way because he doesn't view himself as this type of person. He's considering acting on his last remaining desire to move to the West Coast and find something suitable as an income with a little more planning, but willing to be homeless to conserve cash flow. That's some serious dedication. Would like to work in IoT, the automated car industry, or something space related. However, he claims he's not intelligent or a savant and wants to know what's wrong with him. Should he save everyone the trouble and just check out on life? Well, to that question, I would say no. You definitely don't want to check out on life. It sounds like as a person, whether or not you've done what it is you want to do in life, you still have achieved things of note compared to most people who actually try really hard just to make it by. And it might be hard in moments like these, but you really ought to pat yourself on the back for having the capability to come as far as you have, even though it isn't the life you want. You have still made it further than people that want that life. And you might say, well, why does it matter? I don't want this life. Well, it shows you if you can make a life happen that you do not want, be successful in a life that you do not want. That means you can be successful in a life you do want. If you have a job in the computer industry and you've only known the programming language for 6 months and you're able to net a job, that's pretty good, I'd say. But it's neither here nor there. Like what I mostly want to touch on is, Henry David Thoreau says the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation, and when I read this, I you embody that phrase. There's another one that I've heard recently. I believe the man's name was Philip Brooks, and he said something to the lines of, "People feel the thing that they ought to be, beating beneath the thing that they are." It was something like that. Please forgive me, I'm paraphrasing, but I think this really applies to you too. When we look at you cheating, I don't you don't sound to me like a person who's cheating because they're just unfaithful or anything like that. It sounds like what you're trying to do is sabotage the relationship so you have a reason to get out of it. I wouldn't be surprised if you're hoping to get caught. Um, I or just plain old just be self-destructive and see where life goes. These are all subconscious things. If you're trying to be self-destructive, it's because you consciously can't pull the trigger to change your life. And when we consciously are not going after the things that we want, our subconscious will make sure something happens for better or for worse. And you're seeing this right now. Um, First of all, I think you need to break it off with your girlfriend. I wouldn't tell her that you're cheating. I put a comment below about this, but um, you don't want to instill the psychological damage that even if you cheat at the very end, it's a quite common assumption to make that you were cheating the entire time. I'm not saying I believe this, but she might upon finding this out. And whether you love her, hate her, mad at her, not mad at her, I don't think that's something that you need to put upon a person. Um, she's probably already going to have emotional issues from the fallout of this relationship, even if she wants to be out of it too. And I think it's best you don't get in the way of her healing by telling her something like that. Especially since, like, you cheating in this circumstance is not reflective of what your relationship was. It's just a reflection of you wanting to make a change in your life and not being able to do it. So, with that said, what now? I read a a good quote that we where we are in life right now is the perfect springboard for where we want to be, and I'm still struggling with that too. Um, this hits close to home because I was at a stage in my life where I was um, with somebody for a very long time, almost a decade, that I thought I was going to end up being with forever, and we not exactly grew apart, but we got in the way of each other's growth, and I ended up moving to the West Coast before this happened. Um, I had always wanted to go out there because I'd visited Seattle and fell in love with it. I came back after 13 months, feeling like I for a few reasons, like basically because of family and being so far. I mean, I don't have the best relationship with my family, but feeling so isolated and having certain members of my family who I who were showing signs of being close to the end of their life, I didn't want to miss that. So, anyways, if you decide to move to the West Coast, I don't think that's a horrible idea, but you really need to reconsider is what you want to accomplish out there. If you even visited out there, it's very important to visit first before you do any of these things. And if you can all take a vacation from your current job and go out there, I would suggest you do so. Um, but it's alarming, and it should be alarming that you're doing all these things. And again, these are all symptoms of the fact that you are not going after what you deem to be a fulfilled life. And I don't know what the answer to that is. You need to figure that one out. I'm still trying to figure that out. So I get it. I'm struggling with it too. But what I do know, and what I've been doing lately, and I've been making headway, is trying to figure out, without, if money weren't an issue, what is it that I would spend all my time doing, and kind of starting from there, like what do I like doing, what fulfills me, and it might be more than one thing, and that's perfectly okay. And in struggling with this lately, I've been trying to figure out, like, I've been trying to be sure of myself and try to make a good arguments why I should go for something, good evidence. And I read something recently that, consciously, if we try to um, amass all this evidence is why we should go after something that we think is a dream, like it's just going to end in failure because it's going to be tough for us to amass all that evidence. And sometimes, especially when we're not sure, um, if we're feeling pretty good about something and it feels rewarding, we should just go at it. And if it doesn't work out, that's fine. We can go after something else at that point. It doesn't sound like you have a hard time um, making money. So even if you know, find yourself like almost out of money and you need to fall back on something, it sounds like you could go into programming, sounds like you could go into your old field. I'm assuming you have a college degree. I'm assuming you have a decent resume. I mean, all the stuff that you said that you have bought, and you bought your girlfriend a Model 3. I'm assuming you know how to make money, which is a good thing to fall back on. Some people go at stuff like this without any money, and they're just running purely off self belief. And if they don't make it, well, they end up homeless. Um, I think you need to take some time and think about this. This job isn't fulfilling to you. Um, I don't know if it's the job or the career. I think that should be made a distinction. I mean, some people find jobs in their dream careers, and the job just isn't a fit. Whether it's the workload, the people, they're not doing exactly what what makes them happy about that particular field, or they were given too tough a position too fast, and that might be the situation with you. I don't know, but you need to sit down and figure this out, and it sounds like you're gonna have to do it one at a time. First one, I think you need to just end your relationship. You're not going to be able to do any thinking with your relationship this toxic and this out of control. It sounds chaotic. I'm making assumptions, but you know, I hope I'm at least like getting in the ballpark to make my point. Um, I have found that when you're in a relationship that's not serving you, it is difficult for you to work on yourself and work on your life. If you're surrounded by, not saying she is, but if she is, if you are around someone who's toxic, there is no way for you to heal. There's no way for you to grow. That should be first. Fix that, grieve over that, mourn that. You should mourn the end of this relationship, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. I don't know if you had high hopes for this relationship, but 5 years is a long time. I'm assuming both of you had a very serious coming of age and you've grown apart, and that's tragic and it should be mourned. Once you're done that, then it's time to start on yourself. You know, wipe the emotional canvas clean if you can, and start figuring out what your ideal life looks like. What are the things that makes you happy? What do you feel fulfilled doing? Are there are there types of people you want to serve? Are there things you want to accomplish? Goals you want to accomplish? Are there problems in the world you want to fix? I don't know. These are things you have to ask yourself. And I don't think there's much else I can comment on that. You know, when you talk about being embarrassed, ashamed, depressed, like these things will be fixed, I believe, largely, if not 100%, if you figure this out. Um, we seem to have a big culture of depression and anxiety in our country right now, or in the world, and um, I think there's a lot of people who have depression that purely feel this way because they're unfulfilled and they're living a life that doesn't serve them and doesn't fulfill them. And I think you might be the case with this. So, if you have any questions or any revelations, leave a comment and I'll do my best to try to help you through this. Like I said, this is something I'm piecing through too. Be good to yourself.